This is Elisa Reyes, and you're listening to Deeper Than Music.
Hi, I'm singer-songwriter and actor Robert Avallanet, and you're tuning into Deeper Than Music.
Deeper Than Music. The core of you, the fans, the truth. It's deeper than music, deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest. It's deeper than music, deeper than music. The core of you, the fans, the truth. It's deeper than music, deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest. It's deeper than music, deeper than music.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Deeper Than Music Radio, behind every great song is an even greater story. I'd like to say what's up to everybody listening to us on Spotify, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Google, and Apple Podcasts. And also check us out now on the Nius Media Roku channel. That's Nious Media Roku channel. So today we have a very special guest. Every now and then I search for new music and I look everywhere because sometimes the music is cookie cutter. The one thing that struck me about this artist was the visuals. I want to say, and then the music as well. It's in the vein of innovators as Lady Gaga, in the vein of innovators like Missy Misdemeanor Elliott. Today we have special guest Phenix Red. I mean, she's all about visuals, expression. The cool thing is she's from Wisconsin, but now she's repping in Nashville. She went to school for music engineering, and she's worked with artists such as Jadakiss, Jim Jones, Cassidy. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome Phenix Red here on Deeper Than Music Radio. Phenix, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty good. So I'm not gonna lie. When I first checked out your bio in Wisconsin, so that's where you're from.
Yeah.
Wow. So could you tell us a little bit about life in the town that you lived in Wisconsin?
Yeah. Well, let me paint a visual. So my graduating class was 35 people.
Oh, wow.
The town had about 900. No stoplights, no fast food, one local market. We shared with Amish people. I milked cows growing up for a paycheck, and then I discovered recording studios when I was a sophomore in high school. I had no idea that, everyday people could also record music because my town was that small and Nobody in my town did what I did. Yeah. So, I mean, it was like, it was really, really, really small town life. I rodeoed from the time I was 5 years old till I graduated. And then I gave it up for music because I started writing music when I was 8, but I had no outlets and nobody to guide me. I just had to figure it all out on my own. And when I turned 18 and I graduated, I decided I was going to move. And I got the heck out. But it's all cornfields.
So 35 people, like, how did you stay up on current events, trends, and like, was it just strictly TV or?
Yeah. So, I actually, I didn't like, my mom would always listen to the Christian radio. I do the oldies channel. I obviously, until I could drive my own car, didn't have like access to like my own radio. And I grew up on basically the Christian music and the radio that she listened to, the oldies. And my dad would always listen to like old rock, like Janis Joplin, REO Speedwagon, like a lot of that. So that was like my whole musical school of like genres. And then when my cousins, they all lived in a bigger city, and whenever I'd get to go over there, the first song I ever heard on the radio, my aunt, she's a teacher at East High School. She was a teacher at East High School in Madison, Wisconsin. And so they lived like way differently than me. I mean, they always had the state-of-the-art technology. They always had computers, always had all that kind of stuff. And the first song I heard was Where's the Love by the Black Eyed Peas.
Oh, that's a jam. Okay.
I know. I learned every word. I mean, I became obsessed. I remember watching MTV at their house, and my cousin, he was like 3 years younger than me. I was maybe like 12, 13, and he loved Eminem and 50 Cent, and we would watch MTV. I would like wake up in the middle of the night to go sneak down and watch MTV, and I remember falling in love with like Michelle Branch, and Evanescence was like a poppin' artist.
Okay. Yeah.
And so Evanescence became my like infatuation because they won Best New Artist in 2009. So I was like a freshman. And like they had just been coming onto the scene. So yeah, I mean, I just dove in. I mean, that was like where I got my outlets. And then as I got older, obviously we had gotten cable, and then YouTube started becoming a thing. So I had way more access, and I kind of just dove deep. I loved Gaga. I loved Avril Lavigne. I was big fans.
Yeah, because I want to say, like, the visuals pop. It's like, wow, like the visuals, even like the whole essence of Phenix Red, it pops, you know what I mean? And
Thank you.
And one thing that I like is like, it's not, I'm not a fan of cookie cutter. I'm not a fan. Like, music
Me
is
either, bro. Me either.
music is fluid. You got to innovate. Like when Missy came back, I was like, all right, Missy, show these people how they did. Because everybody remembers, like, if you were around in the late 90s, everybody remembers her in that trash bag in the I Can't Stand the Rain video. That'll always...
Iconic.
And then even Lady Gaga, like, all of her visuals were just on point. So you saw the recording studio, and then, so how did like, what was the genesis of you from Wisconsin to doing audio engineering and just blazing this music path that you have? Yeah,
so it's crazy, because it's like I was this kid who had no outlets, nobody to really nurture my craft. I was like the only one doing what I was doing, and I really just honestly, like, I'm a big spiritual person, and I've always been very connected to God, the universe, my spirit guides, whatever you may call it. Mm-hmm. And I've just always been guided. So I was writing, I had like maybe like 300 songs. I mean, that's what I would do. I would just write all the time. And I was a sophomore. I'd just gotten my actual license, and I got a car. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting at school, and I was just like, literally, it just popped into my head. Like, somebody just put the thought there, and it was like, oh, maybe look for recording studios in the phone book. Cause I didn't have and not one with internet, and it was like an old track phone, and so I went into the phone book, and it was such a random idea. I never thought about it before. I mean, it just didn't even cross my mind that I'd be able to. And I went to the bars, and I called the first one that was there. It was called Audio for the Arts. And I called them, and they were like, it's $55 an hour. And I was like, what? That's so cheap.
Not knowing, right?
I had no pretense. I was thinking they were going to say, well, it'd be like $5,000 per hour. I had no idea because I had no outlets to that. And so I was like, that sounds great. And I worked at this local market, called Mark's Market. And it was like the only little grocery store marketplace. We'd used to rent movies there. It was the only place in town. And I worked there, and I would make about $300 on a paycheck every 2 weeks.
Wow.
And I would time myself at the piano to see how many songs I could play and sing at the same time in 3 hours so I could get all those things demoed. Mm-hmm. And nobody told me the process of like cutting demo quality ready. I mean, I was so raw, and I drove my little 1992 Dodge Shadow to the city, and I recorded, and I became infatuated. And it was around that time that I stopped rodeoing, because rodeoing cost so much money, and as much as I loved horses, music always trumped me. And so, yeah, I knew that when I graduated, I needed to get out. Obviously, I was thinking LA or New York, because I always dressed up for school. I've always had dark eyeliner, like fashion, like things like that I really had no access to. I just did innately. Yeah. And it was really important to me to also just like dive deep into culture, because I always wanted to be more than what I was, and people that were different than me was always something that I cared about. And I just cared about the world and being a cultured person. And where I'm from, people don't really care about that. They're not bad people. There's good people, but they're like, okay, being like with their life and never leaving that town. And I just couldn't mess with that. That just wasn't how I felt. I was friends with, my two best friends were Mexican and Hmong, and they were the only people that weren't white in my whole community.
Wow.
And it's not like, it's just a small town. You know what I'm saying? It's just off the beaten path. So, I just wanted as much diversity as possible. And so I was going to get a job for this summer. And then I ended up going to Cracker Barrel for an odd reason that I could get into. It's so random. And I walked in and they hired me on spot and they were like, oh, well, you want to just, move for music. Well, we could transfer you to Nashville. And
wow.
I was like, okay, cool. I'm sold. No doubt. I grabbed a pamphlet on my way out. I circled the store that I thought I was going to work at. And I drove down 2 months later. I told them I was going to come work for them. And then I got my apartment. And then I moved 3 months later on September 7th, 2012. And I've been rocking it here ever since. But because I picked that store, that specific store, I actually met my soon-to-be business partner 3 years after I moved into Nashville. He was the only one that came to my shows, the only one that, I don't know, he just took like a really big interest in my music. And he had went to MTSU for audio recording and engineering, and he loved to mix, but he had kind of put that aside because he tried to manage this rapper who was his friend, who was really good, but the commitment wasn't there. And so he kind of was just like doing his own thing with real estate and stuff. And so we met in 2012, and 2 years later we ended up working together. And he threw me in the studio and he gave a shit about what I was doing. And he gave me a place to, he gave me a creative partnership where I could really, really hone in on my brand, on my craft, on what I was doing. And that's really where, for me, it changed, because I had been doing music under different names, trying to find that brand, that identity that was fitting of who I am and what my music says. And we invested in a studio together. We flew out to New York. We worked with Jadakiss and Cassidy, a lot of things purely, but it just fell in our lap, and we worked with all these people. It was really, really cool. Jim Jones, and then we got Romeo Miller on a song, and then we were doing all this stuff and really building the brand. And then, some life stuff happened. We got robbed, and he was shot.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It was pretty wild. That was 2016. So we just shot the music video with Little Romeo, and I had just we had only been working together a year. And we had done all this stuff and went everywhere. And I guess people, I don't know, people get jealous or whatever, but they kind of, put a hit on us in a weird way, I feel like.
Wow. Oh, that's crazy.
No, I'm serious.
There's haters, but damn, that's a super duper hater right there.
No, yeah, I'm so serious. I've actually, this is probably as exclusive as it gets, because I actually never said that on anything before. But I don't know, something about right now, just it's a really important part of my story. And I think after this COVID thing and just the last year I've had, it's really important to me to speak on the real journey, not just.
And that's good, because it's your story in itself, because the visuals are on point, your whole and the fact that you've come from this small town, man. But I want to get into the music. We're talking about the journey, but let's get into the music. So I have Taurus queued up. Can you give us the rundown on Taurus?
Yeah, so actually that's just a new fun track. I wrote it with my best friend. She's from Russia. And me and her did our second trip to LA in January. Did that song with one of my favorite producers out in LA. His name's Alex. And I met him through my publicist in DC. He's originally from New York. He's dope. So yeah, me and Andy wrote that song, and I want to put it out. And so it's exclusive. It hasn't ever been played or out at all. So. Okay.
So here we go. Deeper Than Music exclusive here with Phenix Red, Taurus. Here we go.
Deeper Than Music Radio.
All day, and you can never get away. I got my bags, I'm here to stay. It's like when school kids get out and true lovers say vows. Some momentum is now, and I'm calling it out. And I'ma say wow, 10 minutes from now, I'm knocking them down with the flow like a bow. I'm talking about the days when your legs go numb, Well, I'm not into fighting. Nah, that shit ain't too exciting. Nah. It's like when school kids get out and true lovers say vows. Our momentum is now, and I'm calling it out. And I'ma say wow, 10 minutes from now, I'm knocking them down with the flow like a bow. Talking about the days when your legs go numb, heavy like they say, like the bass and the drum. We go up and down, we go up and down, lifted to the clouds, we replace the sun. Hey, hey, la da 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 da, la da 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 da, la da 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 da. Better get out of my face.
Ladies and gentlemen, Red Phenix, Taurus. Man, I wanted to ask you, with you being in such a small town and then being your own entity, was that kind of challenging? Just like this is who I am, and it sounds like such a small conservative town.
You know, it's gonna sound crazy. I'm sure everybody's different, but it was the least hard thing I've ever had to do.
Okay.
I've always been me, you know, and like, I just always knew who I was. I just think I've been here a bunch of times before, and I just was born kind of more awake than people around me. And I had never felt like I had to apologize for that. You know, I definitely get anxieties. I don't like, it's uncomfortable going home for me. It's not like a lot of memories pop up, a lot of like feelings of just being completely misunderstood. I definitely think that it's led me to have to be, or that I think I have to be defensive about qualities in myself in my adult life, which I don't have to be defensive anymore, but it was just kind of in me to always be that way because I had to defend. But I've just liberated myself in such a way of like, I've always been a doer. My first words, my actual name is Paige, and my first words growing up were Paigey Do, and I'm a doer, and I'm really, really all about my craft, and that's why I learned how to do everything. I mean, I went to school because I wanted to learn how to press the buttons, and then people started messing with my edits and not doing the edits. I've directed every video I've ever shot. I treatment planned, I booked, and I casted everybody. And then I've given strict edits. And for the first 5 videos I did, nobody wanted to do my edits. And I was paying this guy $500 to sit there and do it. And I said, "What's this program?" And he told me, and I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna learn this program because I'm not paying you anymore because people kept messing with my vision."
Congratulations. I'd like to congratulate you on that. Like, I myself, I do everything. Like me and my boy, shout out to Gary Devon Dotson of NVE TV. He started doing indie movies, music, even the channel, you know, for the exact same reason that you're talking about. And I applaud you for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard out here for people with a vision because you have so many. And I think that that's another huge thing why artists have a hard time brand developing on their own, which is in reality in 2020, you have to brand develop on your own because there are no development deals unless you have a big stack of money. Yeah. So you better learn how to do things. And it just, you know, it sucks because you have to fight with your mixing engineer, fight with your recording studio, you know, get the hours to do this, like, you know, get the guy to shoot the video and then get the cast and all this other stuff. And you have to go through so many holes, you know. And so I'm lucky that now in 2020, I'm finally locked and loaded with a creative team that I've worked with multiple times.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Who are your influences? Like, who influences you, like, musically?
Yeah, so, you know, obviously I told you I grew up on like Avril Lavigne and Evanescence and Gaga. Mm-hmm. And I think that what attracted me initially to like pop music was the glamour of the visuals. Like I loved Gaga, you know, because I think more than her music, I was just really attracted to her as an art piece. Musically, I've always been more inclined to, I think, why I've compared rock and hip hop to the same kind of thing, because both of those genres to me come from a place of struggle and pain. Yeah. And a real need to express that. And that's where my channel, I mean, that's just where, you know, regardless of what I listened to growing up, that's what I've led like, that's what's always grown in me. And so, I mean, I've expanded. I mean, right now, I'll tell you what I'm listening to right now. I really like Seb Delisa. She's a Dutch Iranian artist. Yeah, she's Dutch Iranian. And she does this thing called like trip hop. It's very trippy, but it's so like she's like an ethereal thing in her own self. You know, I like lifestyle brands, I think, in a lot of ways. Like I like artists that, you know, invite you into the world. So I'm really into her. I listen to like a broad spectrum. Actually, a hip hop artist that's been coming out lately that I actually really like and I'm excited about is I really like DaBaby, man.
Oh,
I really
like DaBaby? Okay.
I like him, and I like him because I'm like, he's giving me just something different than what I'm seeing every day. You know, he's fresh. He's funny. It's like he could have been on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or something.
Yeah.
I like his energy. I'm really into a few other artists that I listen to a lot. Obviously I like Billie Eilish, but I really like her like visual aesthetic. I kind of pick my artists for what I like necessarily. It's not always the music. It's sometimes just their delivery, I guess. Let me think. You know, I spend so much time listening to my own music. It's so hard to, it's such a hard thing. I know that there's some artists that listen to everything, and I'm definitely one of those people that is careful what I put in my ears, and I spend a lot of time in my own bubble.
Yeah.
But yeah, I listen to a bunch of world music. Like I'm really into listening to Russian artists right now. I'm popping in Turkey for whatever reason, and so I've been really into like Middle Eastern sounds and stuff. And I think, I don't know, I'm just kind of like trying my whole thing out.
No, and that's cool because you keep it fresh. And I just feel, especially for like urban music, especially now, I mean, it's cookie cutter, right? And we need like a network. We need a spread. We need something different. And that's why I said like your sound and even the people that you like Lady Gaga. I mean, yeah, the music is good, but the visuals, you'll always remember her music videos. You know, I mean, it's imprinted in your brain. So that makes sense. Like you're looking outside of the bubble for like music and inspiration. So with that being said, I want to get into this. I love the title because my sister used to have one of these, Raggedy Ann.
Yeah, that drops tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
I'm excited.
The story behind this song?
Yeah, so this is the second single of off the EP that I'm dropping this summer. It's going to be called Raggedy Ann, and this is really cool because I've kind of shifted out of like this dark place where I was really deep and intentional with everything, and I'm still deep, but I'm trying to show people more of my personality, like, and kind of deliver it in a new, fresh way with a little bit more angst and something people can bop to. So this is like my vibe for the year is my Raggedy Ann persona. She really don't give a fuck.
Okay. So we go, ladies. And oh, what did you say? I'm sorry.
She doesn't care a lot, but she doesn't give a fuck, but she cares a lot, if that makes sense. So she's going to tell it how it is.
Okay, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Phenix Red, Raggedy Ann.
Deeper Than Music Radio. Behind every great song is a greater story.
I'm a constellation mad on the horizon. I'm the kind of words you say for when you die. Yeah. Used to apologize and beg till I decided was born to do it. I'ma do it. Watch me do it. You're not gonna like it. You're not gonna like it. I'm about to Barbie set right off when I'm excited. 'Cause I don't know how you live, but no, there's nothing like it. If I could be the ocean, that means I would never drown in it. Yeah. I think I'd rather be too weird than being normal. I'm indecisive on your prices to be cordial. Too many days stuck in combat with them mortals. I have to do it, gotta do it, I should do it. You're not gonna like it, you're not gonna like it. My vampire smiles in your dreams and you can't fight it. My attitude is dope, man. Better hug your milkman. I'll be your new Alice, let your body be my wonderland. Yeah. I'ma do it like they said I can. Don't test us, Raggedy Ann. All my barcodes, they don't scan. The way I stay in my flow, I'm an astronaut. Give me a buck or a dough, I don't need a lot. So any, mini, money, more, just before your eyes. Think of all best look is naked, cause I grew up on the farm, yeah. Milking cows and rodeos that really grow your arms, yeah. Don't need your pharmacist, I'm in your consciousness. Send me your coordinates, I know that you want more than this.
Deeper Than Music Radio.
I'ma do it like they said I can. Don't test us raggedy and 3-5-4, I'll be the man. Yeah. Don't test us raggedy and.
Ladies and gentlemen, Raggedy Ann, Phenix Red here on Deeper Than Music. Fire track right there. Love it, love it. You even give a shout out to the farms, working in the farm.
I do, yeah.
Wow. So, in your career, like, what has been so far the biggest challenge?
I think it's been finding my lane, you know, being somebody who's making a sound that isn't following the trends in all like the obvious ways, and being blatantly different with my eyeliner and just the way that I, you know, just my brand in as its entirety. It's a little bit harder, you know, for me, whereas the girl down the street who's making the same sounds with pop music that's going on and catering the beat and the message and everything and the vocal approach and everything, it's really easy for her to get playlisted. Mm-hmm. For me, it's a lot harder because, I mean, where do I fit? Are you going to put me on Rap Caviar? I don't know. Are you going to put me on, you know, pop hits of today? I don't know. You know, like I'm having to figure out, like, being creative with my approach on getting people to hear my music, because I have to jump through a little bit more hoops than the average person. And a lot of people too, you know, like my eyeliner, it's really interesting. You know, I've always expressed myself with eyeliner, but it's kind of developed into this double wing thing for the last 3 years. And I really do it because I like it. And yeah. I've always, that's just how I feel. That's how I feel. That's who I am. True to who I am, but it really weeds out people, you know, because I mean, if you're an open-minded person, you love it right away. Yeah. If you're not, then you're judgmental, you know, immediately, and you kind of write me off or whatever. So I'm kind of like having to navigate all of that through social media and through all the outlets and whatever. Because it's, you know, I make quality stuff, and that's what people always tell me whenever I get in a meeting with somebody in the industry. They're like, I'm confused. You know, your music's extremely well written. It's, you know, has complete potential to blow up, and your visuals are like better than everybody that's on your level. I mean, you're making things that people on indie labels are doing. And I don't know. Then one of my friends said, maybe my stuff sounds too good. It's confusing to people, and that I'm not already famous, so they think it's a gimmick. I don't know.
And you know, it's weird. You say that, but you know, like the greats, like you know, Jay-Z. I mean, they ended up having to do their own thing because people were like, you know, nah, you know. I know a lot of great people, and even with Missy, you know, Missy, they were like, they tried to shun her. I mean, but she broke through. And to me, it's always the people that stand the test of time are the people that create their own lanes. So I applaud you for that. And it's weird because like music is supposed to be fluid, but because people can't put you in a box, right? Because you're doing your own thing. I think, especially with the industry, they always go with what's safe, right?
Yeah, with what they already know is going to make them money. And unless you prove that you're already making your money on your own, then you're not something that they want to do.
But think about it though, like with the Pharrells, with the Timberlands, once that gets in there, then it's going to be people imitating them. You know what I'm saying? So
I am so with you on that. I don't. That's been my whole motto. I mean, I'm so allergic to the trends. It's crazy. Even when I approach my music, like whenever I rap and stuff, I mean, I don't say the same things everybody else says because that's not who I am, and I'm not a copycat. You know, I have a stream of consciousness that's mine, and that I'm tapped into. And it's, I'm with you on that. I mean, I'm betting on a 30, 40, 50 year career. I don't want no one hit wonder.
Yeah, no, because like I said, like, it's like in a sea full of all these artists, like, you stood out. And then even when I saw and heard the music, I was like, my God, this is definitely something different and definitely something to pay attention to. So the next song I have is Summertime, or Summerside.
Yeah.
Can you give us the rundown on Summerside?
Yeah, so that was off of my EP, The Chariot, last year. And I feel like it's, you know, what people would, if they could say I had a bop, that's like a trendy thing right now. I guess this would be the bop off of my EP. People really like it. I think it shows a different side of me. The hook is softer, but the song is about reflection and like an ode to always being my fiery, truthful self. And I talk a little bit about my parents' divorce. I'm very intentional with my lyrics. They're very avant-garde, but it talks about processing the pain of life. And really, I'm just wishing that I could, you know, go away to the summer side, like a simple life. Like, I would love to feel the waves of that, but I don't. And I'm, you know, like, I've just been through too much. So that's kind of what this is about.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are with the one and only unique Phenix Red here with Summerside on Deeper Than Music.
Deeper Than Music Radio.
Take me for my love, I'm mind. I was born with a vision, I was born for my time. Cut from the earth, I aligned. I was born with a mental haze of 7 years of life. I was never lost, I stayed kind. I bathed in the fire with my father, age of 9. Please excuse me, cause it's hard to rewind. I got a sliver in my back, you can hear my teeth grind. Take me away to the summer side. I long to feel the waves of the simple life. I've been roaring like a lion, I got pride. For the people in my life, I'll be feisty till I die. If I had a dime for every time I cried, I'd probably be the queen or the richest man alive. I stay golden and I study while I write. It's my gift to the world if I inspire you to fight. Not a prophet, but I search for the light. If it's all I can do, I'll keep the warrior alive. Take me away to the summer side alone.
Deeper Than Music Radio.
Phenix Red, Summerside, another jam. Man. No, I love the music, man. I'm a fan. So, I mean, it's just, I think when people hear you and see the visuals, man, they'll become fans as well.
Thank you. It feels good to be seen.
In your career so far, what is the most rewarding moment or rewarding aspect?
I feel like the most rewarding aspect is growth. I just feel like it's the growth that I see in myself, and then I can see in other people with the music. Obviously, every artist makes music for themselves, but for the world, and to see that, you know, make an impact in other people's lives, and for them to, you know, be moved by it, or for it to be a part of their day. I think that that's like rewarding, to know that I've been blessed with a life path that is meant to create, and that I know that, you know, and that I'm living in that and getting to see, you know, the growth period. I mean, where I was a year ago is so far away from where I am now. And I mean, I think back to where I was 4 years ago, and it's really just like, it's just rewarding to see that when you never give up, you know, you have like continuous chances to impact other people's lives and your own. And for me, that's what it's all about, is just constant, continuous growth.
And so, and as with all these interviews with great artists, time just goes by. We have 8 minutes left. So my last couple questions: what do you say to the little girl that's not necessarily in small town Iowa, but small town Missouri, small town USA, who hears this interview or watch your videos and aspires to be like you? What advice would you give them?
To never put boundaries on their vision, and to know that the wildest thing they can think of can absolutely happen, and more. And you'll never, like, if I could show myself a video of what I've done today to myself as a 13-year-old girl, like completely misunderstood and like fighting the world, I don't even think I think she would have believed it, but I think that it would have blew her mind, you know, and to always believe in yourself first, because everybody told me not to do what I was doing. Nobody believed in me. My teachers sat me down and told me the NFL, you know, our football players had like less of a chance of making it in the NFL than I did in music.
Wow.
I had no support, and to be your own supporter. I believed in myself so much. I was my religion. So dedicate yourself to yourself, and block every hater out, because they do not matter.
Yeah, well said. And what does music mean to Phenix Red?
It's everything, man. It's just everything. I am my music, and it's just everything. I honestly, I don't know what I would do or be. I mean, I'd obviously be some kind of spiritual group. So it's just everything. The one thing that connects us all, as we're seeing during this pandemic. I mean, music is an escape. Connection is everything. It's just everything. I mean, it should be, it's unbiased. It's pure human emotion and experience. I mean, you just can't fake it. Everybody can relate to everything. It's important. Yeah. It's vital.
Well said. So the last question I have is, where can people, it's selfless promotion. What are you doing after COVID-19? Where can we get your videos? I'll answer one of those questions. One outlet that you're on is on the Nias Media Roku channel, and IOUS Media Roku channel. So check out her videos. But where else are you in the world, in the universe? So this is your shameless promotion time. Thanks
for saying it's shameless, because I always get, you know, claustrophobic. Like, no, I can't. Yeah, so all social media, you can find me at Phenix Red Music. That's PHENIX RED Music. I spell Phoenix with no O, so it's like Phoenix. So Phenix Red Music on all socials. PhenixRed.com. You can find me at YouTube.com/PhenixRed. I have like 20 videos out. Anywhere you can find me: Deezer, Tidal, Apple Music, Amazon, everywhere. I'm everywhere.
Awesome. And man, that's pretty much it. I mean, any closing words or shout outs? And we're gonna close out with the last song you gave us, Bad News. But any special shout outs, thanks you want to give before we close out another great interview here on Deeper Than Music?
Yeah, I thank my team, the people who believed in me the most, and, you know, my family, and just good people in general. And I'm just such a fighter for good people and being kind, like Lady Gaga says. So I'm all about it. And this song that you're about to play is the single I dropped with the video out. It's the first single of the year. So it's my intro. It's my introduction.
And any story behind bad news, or is just that, hey, I'm bad news, or?
It's actually, what is the right word, conundrum? I don't know. It's like a contradiction, but not like it's like I'm saying I'm bad news because I'm good news. You know, I'm not that. It's kind of like my song Headline Readers. I much rather be the truth than a good and juicy feature. So this is like my ode to like myself, accepting the fact that I'm weird. I don't really like pink. I like black. I feel like a good girl in a bad girl world. Like it's all these things that I feel like made me feel like an outcast and why I'm bad news. But really, I'm just making movies and finding out what I like and don't like. And I'm just going to be like, hey, this is me. And so that's what it's about.
Awesome. So ladies and gentlemen, here we go, closing out another great episode. You heard the music and you heard the story behind the music. Phenix Red, and we're closing out with Bad News here on Deeper Than Music.
I'm a good girl, making friends with the bad chicks. They love the plastic. Don't believe me, get your facts checked. Couldn't make it in a pageant, but I love some goth fashion. Not a Dutch with the present. They'll come and get me any second. I'm a rodeo queen buying stripper heels and chains. Bet you like that. Bet you like that. Me a bona fide hustler, making my name. This chick's bad, no, she's got tattoos. She's been making movies. Finding out what she don't like. Heard the price of ruby. All I really wanna see is what a minute, what a minute, what a minute. What a minute, what a minute, what a minute. What a minute, what a minute, what a minute. It's high. But I don't like pink. Now that's what you all think. I just prefer it black. I'm not amused, that's a fact. I swear to God, I'm so happy. All the time, I'm so sappy. Even when that Cheerio commercial comes on, I got the 7 dwarfs round me breaking in song. I'm a rodeo queen buying stripper heels and chains. Bet you like that. Bet you like that. Call me a bona fide hustler, making my name. This chick's bad, no, she's got tattoos. She's been making movies. Finding out what she don't like. Heard the price of ruby. All I really wanna see is what a minute, what a minute, what a minute. What a minute, what a minute, what a minute. What a minute, what a minute, what a minute. It's high. What I meant, what I meant, what I meant is. What I meant, what I meant, what I meant is. What I meant, what I meant, what I meant is bye.